Hello, traders. Because of any coming to you from theclosingprint.com, Sunday, the 5th of May, 2024. In this edition of your weekend video newsletter, we'll discuss the indices, all of which jumped last week on a non-farm payrolls number that printed about 24% cooler than expected. That sent equities higher, yet still remain below the 50-day moving average. Apple did report earnings. We had an iron condor and some 180 calls on Friday that yielded a fat profit, with the pop necessitating a roll on our iron condors on the call strikes to 190, 195. The majority of our indicators are bullish this week at 16, with 3 neutral and 1 bearish. The S&P 500 did make a higher low on Thursday, popping on Friday's non-farm payrolls number right at the 50-day moving average, briefly above, but closing just below. So we'll look for that follow-through with momentum indicators turning more bullish, MACD and stochastics turning higher. Volume was slightly above average. With RSI rising, we're looking for a follow-through as the trend begins to strengthen, with advanced decline percent showing a bullish follow-through on all 4 indices, the S&P 500, followed by the mid caps, small caps, and the NASDAQ 100 in the lower panel in descending order. That gives us a green light and a shift that Grover's indicators noted as well. Just on Thursday, we had most of these indicating a continuation on a trend down, with most shifting to a trend up on Friday. In addition, VIX 60-minute indicator gave us a green signal as well, telling us to look for higher highs and higher lows on this 60-minute S&P 500 chart. With a continuation signal in the New York Stock Exchange McClellan volume oscillator, when it gets into the green zone, we start to look for a dip. You can see the dip in the top panel, followed by a higher low, indicating that we could see more upside before we get into the red zone again. Maybe this week will be mostly bullish, with a similar improvement in the NYHL, new highs minus new lows on the New York Stock Exchange. You can see we're clearly above the zero line. Advanced decline in the middle panel is rising, indicating it could push to a new high, with green elder sticks on the New York Stock Exchange to start the month of May. The New York FANG Index, also components of the Qs, the NASDAQ 100, 10 stocks that gave the markets a bullish follow-through and above the 50-day moving average on Friday. Momentum indicators are bullish, MACD and stochastics with continuation signals, RSI showing strength of trend. Look for a retest of the highs for the 6th time and a potential breakout now that the Fed is more dovish. We've been looking for the 10-year yield to give us a bullish equity signal by pulling back. We finally got it last week on Chair Powell's dovish comments, together with a pop in junk bonds. We did close on a doji, but we're at the highs and above the 50-day moving average. RSI is rising. In addition to our bullish risk-on indicators, IBB, IWM, crude oil is pulling back, Bitcoin with a reversal, and advanced decline rising, threatening to make a new all-time high. If we couple the 10-year yield and the junk bonds along with our bullish risk-on indicators with the dollar, this is also giving us a tailwind if the dollar continues to move lower. We did produce a hammer right off the 50-day moving average, so be aware of it. If you're bullish equities, you want to see the dollar continue to move lower. And we want crude oil to pull back as well, while gold and silver continue their consolidation, all of which caused the CRB index, commodities, pulling back pretty dramatically last week below its 10 EMA. That's a bullish tailwind for equities as well. And closing on the commodities side with the idea that nat gas, very interesting price action over the last couple of weeks. With MACD and stochastics rising, look for nat gas to continue higher into the summer. Finally, we see copper in a bullish trend. That's bullish for equities and for the economy to start the week. Sectors are mostly bullish. Here's biotechs, IBB testing the 50-day. Volume was above average. Stochastics, RSI, MACD are all moving higher, indicating a follow-through potential. Real estate with a bounce. Volume was above average Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So if you're trading any real estate, make sure you double check on those charts. Transports with a bounce, we have a descending channel. Price needs to get back above the 50-day, but it is testing the 21-day on Friday. Semiconductors were super bullish. RSI, MACD, stochastics, and volume all indicating we should see a follow-through. XBI, the Spider S&P 500 biotech ETF, testing the 50-day. Momentum is bullish. RSI, MACD, volume all indicating continuation. Oil and gas equipment services did bounce last week, while energy mostly faded to the 50-day, but showing hammers and long-legged dojis, volume above average. Look for a bounce in the short term. After this 4 weeks of consolidation, MACD stochastics look like they could turn. Along with materials, XLB turning higher, RSIs rising, prices testing the 50-day, and we got stochastics and MACD turning up, indicating we could see a follow-through. Here's communications, that's Meta, Google, Roku, Netflix, etc. Most of those are bullish. Looking for XLC to move above the 50-day this week. MACD and stochastics are rising, volume increasing, indicating the presence of institutions. Financials consolidating. Industrials consolidating. RSI is back above the 50 area though, and price actions above the 50-day moving average. Stochastics, MACD turning. Watch for a move in industrials this week. Caterpillar, John Deere, 3M, etc. Technology, along with semiconductors, software, hardware, all of those are moving higher. Cloud look good too, with XLK above the 100 and the 9 and 21 day. All that's left is the 50-day. RSI is rising, MACD stochastics rising, and volume starting to pick up. Consumer staples, bullish, looking for a follow-through. RSI, MACD turning up, volume increasing, and utilities catching a bid. If the Fed starts to bring down rates, interest-sensitive seeking investors will be piling into XLU. Looks like they've already been doing that for the last couple of months, anticipating that the Fed will cut rates before the end of the year. Healthcare consolidating. Watch pharmaceuticals and biotechs, subsectors of the healthcare. United Health looked pretty good on Friday, I believe, as well. Thursday, Friday looked like it was going to bounce. Consumer discretionary, if you're bullish equities, you want to see this moving higher. Along with retail, look for retail to get above the 50-day moving average. Momentum indicators are all showing potential for follow-through in most sectors. IBD 50 stocks, most of them are bullish. You can see AeroVironment with a squeeze a couple of weeks ago, breaking higher, running the upper Bollinger Bands. Volume looking good. MACD and stochastics rising. American Express still consolidating, looking for a bounce somewhere near the 50 or the 21 day in the next couple of weeks. Financials have been consolidating as a group. Affirm Holdings trying to break this downtrend. It's above the 50-day on Friday. RSI rising. Just make sure you double check earnings dates before you take any positions this week. Alphabet, Google, nice bounce on the 6-day with a long-legged doji, hammer-looking candle. Volume above average Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We got MACD and stochastics rising. RSI above 50. Looking for Google to follow through this week and retake those recent highs. Ep11 pushing above recent pivots, trying to get back up to 52-week highs with earnings this week on Wednesday. It beat expectations last time around with revenue growth of 35.7%. It beat with an earnings surprise of 32.4%. Of course, Ep11's platform helps provide developers with a powerful set of solutions to grow their mobile apps, something investors appear to like. So we'll be watching App11 for earnings this week. MACD stochastics rising into earnings. Aspen Aerogels reported earnings last week on Wednesday. Nice pop, breaking out to 52-week highs. The company has high performance insulation, taking over the construction industry. It beat earnings last week. With revenue growth of 107%, earnings growth of 104%. This is something you might want to take a look at once we get something of a pullback or consolidation. We may see a follow-through in Aspen Aerogels. Axon Enterprises grinding higher above the 50-day moving average. RSI is above 50 and rising, showing strength of trend. Volume shows institutions, stochastics and MACD are rising. Axos Financial breaking out last week. Centos, remember, is a economically sensitive company. 1 million customers worldwide that rent and lease, buy corporate identity programs that the company produces. Consolidated for the past 4 weeks. Looks like week 5 might see a follow-through. Bollinger Bands are very tight. RSI is rising. Look for a breakout with stochastics and MACD turning over and looking more bullish. Citigroup and the banks, some of them on the IBD 50. Citigroup looking for a break above these recent highs. Chart Industries with some follow-through off the 50-day and 200-day last week. Volume was above average. MACD and stochastics rising. RSI indicating strength of trend is improving. Watch this one. Deutsche Bank consolidating. Dorian, an LPG provider with vessels to transport liquid natural gas, grinding along its upper Bollinger Bands, volume increasing. MCore Group threatening a breakout. Volume has been pretty obvious over the last 8-10 weeks. Institutions piling in. The company beating last time around on April 25th. Electrical, mechanical, construction facilities and related services. Earnings growth near 80%. Revenue growth 18.7%. They beat by 42% last time around. MCore looking like it might follow through and break higher. MACD and stochastics turning. RSI rising and volume showing institutions have been picking up shares. Consolidating presently, look for a breakout above 370 in the coming weeks. Garmin broke out last week, beating expectations on May 1st, Wednesday. Revenue growth 20%, earnings growth 39%, beat by 29%. Looking for a follow-through in Garmin. After perhaps a little consolidation, similar to what we're looking for on Apple, by the way. Apple with a nice pop on Friday earnings, looking for a consolidation or a flag at this point. We do have an iron condor on Apple above and below. Current price action about 5%, 191.95, and the 162.50, 157.50 puts on the downside. Looking for Apple to consolidate and stay in this range. GigaCloud squeezing, looking for a breakout of this consolidation. It's above the 50-day moving average. RSI showing strength of trend is improving. MACD and stochastics turning from a prime location, volume increasing. So that should see a follow-through this week, I would think. With the company reporting earnings on Thursday before the bell. Beating last time around, the company has good revenue growth, good earnings growth. And of course, GigaCloud Technology is pioneer of global end-to-end B2B e-commerce solutions for large parcel merchandise with earnings on Thursday. Howmet last week mentioned an increase in his dividend, also beat on earnings. Good revenue growth, earnings growth 35%, beat by 7.5%. Of course, Howmet Aerospace is a leading provider of advanced engineered solutions for the aerospace and transportation industries. The brokers have been looking very strong as well. IBKR, Schwab, Raymond James, Stifel, among others. Look at those stocks. The whole group is moving higher. Looking for a follow through this week. RSI showing strength of trend. MACD stochastics rising, volume increasing. Make my trip. Looking for a follow through as well. Volume, MACD, stochastics, RSI, everything in play. NVIDIA looking for a run into earnings above the 50-day moving average. MACD stochastics rising, volume looking very strong. Pinduoduo breaking down trends. A lot of the Chinese stocks look fairly strong. Check out KWeb. Procept Biorobotics looking very strong. PRCT. Beat earnings on May 1st last week. Earnings growth 19%, revenue growth 82.5%. Of course, the company is a surgical robotics company focused on advanced patient care by developing transformative solutions in urology. Okay, traders, this is going to do it for me. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com. Sunday, May the 5th, 2024. I'll send out a watch list later tonight around 12 midnight on the East Coast, around 9 o'clock on the West Coast. So be sure to check your inbox for that, where I'll highlight the stocks most likely to follow through that I'm looking at this week, knowing that most indicators are bullish, that momentum is bullish, and that Jay Powell is dovish. So have a great weekend. What's left of it, take care, and we'll see you in the morning. Ciao.